And with all due respect, I'm going to say that I think this guy is a bit overrated, which doesn't mean that I don't think he should have been the number one pick. I think he's the clear number one pick, but I think people are talking about this guy as the new LeBron, and I think that's a bit too much. Why do I say that? Well, because I see some issues in his offense. Hello everyone, welcome to Calling Glass, welcome to the pod, welcome to the club. My name is Alvaro, and today in the podcast, I'm doing the preview of the NBA 2025-2026 season. Let's see it. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today in the pod, I'm talking about some teams, preview of some teams for the NBA season. I also want to talk about some players, and I want to do a ranking of the top teams that I see as candidates to win the NBA championship this year. And first, I'm starting to talk about the Denver Nuggets. Why? Because I'm excited that finally Nikola Jokic, the best player in the world, is going to have a full roster around him and not just 5 players. Yes, Michael Porter Jr. left, but now there is Cameron Johnson to play as a starter. And then we also have Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas as a backup center finally for Nikola Jokic. I have to say that I think Michael Porter Jr. is a bit underrated. I think he was a great player when he was healthy, and I think he gave a lot to Denver, but I think it's worth this change. Now you have more players that can play, and we have seen that in the NBA in the last years, it matters in the playoffs how many players can play. Teams that win are usually long teams with a long roster, with a lot of players that can play, at least 7, 8, and also young players that can avoid injuries. So both are key. Having a long roster and having young players to avoid injuries and play at the highest level for 2 months, which is the length of the playoffs. So yes, as well as the players that I mentioned, I'm excited to see the growth. I think I see a player here in Julian Strother. I saw some things last year, and I'm excited to see where he can grow. And also there is another player, not that well known, that I saw is his 4th year out of Pepperdine, is Kessler Edwards. And I saw him with Brooklyn Nets. I think it was his rookie year, playing with when he had to play because they didn't have many other players, with Durant and Irving and Harden. I thought he did good, and I'm actually excited. Maybe he can play. I think this is a guy who can play basketball. But yeah. Next team that I want to talk about is the Golden State Warriors. And I want to talk about them because I'm excited as well to see a full season of Jimmy Butler in that team. Butler arrived in the All-Star weekend, and I actually didn't have high expectations for that, but he actually fit very well next to Curry and next to Draymond Green and in the Warriors. So I want to see them full season. I think he fit well because even though he's not a great shooter, he's a great cutter. He's great off the ball. He doesn't need that much ball for him to play. And and I think in defense he's also positive. So that's why I think he was a good asset for the team. And I want to see what they can do in the full season, not only with Jimmy Butler, but also with Al Horford, with DeAnthony Melton, with Seth Curry, which I think is I think it's funny. I think it's cute to have both brothers in the same team. But I also think he can play also as well. Especially he can be the carry of the bench. Now, having said that, I see issues for the Warriors. And the issues are that this is a very old team. For the playoffs, when the playoffs will start, the Warriors players will have this age. Horford, if they reach the finals, he will be 40 years old. Curry, 38, starting the playoffs. Draymond Green, 36. Jimmy Butler, 36. Like I said before, older teams are not winning NBA championships due to the high demand of the playoffs. Players tend to get injured. It happened to last year to the Warriors. Curry got injured after the first round. And I think it's going to be very difficult for this team to go not 1 round, not 2 rounds, not 3 rounds, but 4 rounds in a row without having any minor issues, injuries. That's it. Do I think that this team in 1 round can beat any team in the league? For sure. I think they are super dangerous in 1 round. The problem is that they I don't think they can do this for 4 rounds in a row. Next team, Los Angeles Lakers of Luka and LeBron. LeBron, first thing I want to say is that he's out 3 to 4 weeks. Sciatica. Everyone knows this. It's the age, he's 40. But he also said that he will monitor how the Lakers will do because he wants to win. And if the Lakers are not doing that well, he might request a trade. I don't know if he said that he might request a trade, but he will monitor how the Lakers are doing. So yeah, there is a possibility that LeBron doesn't finish the season with the Lakers. I think this is a real chance of happening. Now, from the roster, I think it's a bit better, but I don't trust DeAndre Ayton at all. I'm not a believer in Ayton. I think this guy is not serious about basketball, and I don't believe in him. I think Marcus Smart is a good asset for the team, but at the same time, I don't think it's the same Marcus Smart that we saw in Boston 3 years ago. And I see another problem in the Lakers is that their defense and athleticism last playoffs was visibly bad. And I think they cannot play with Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James at the same time. They are too weak physically and in defense, in the exterior defense. So, yeah, they should play Austin Reeves from the bench. Next team I want to comment about, Houston Rockets. I trust Alperen Sengun. I trust Amen Thompson. I don't really trust Kevin Durant. Trust in the sense that last years, he's not been able to prove that he's a great player. I don't think he's a top 10 player right now in the league. I think he's a great scorer still, but I don't think he's the guy to build a team around to win a championship right now. So I hope that Houston still relies in Alperen Sengun as their best player and as their best offensive weapon and the engine of their offense. And I hope they will use Durant as a side or a second offensive weapon. And yes, of course, Durant can score 30 for sure, but I don't think he can carry an offense to win a championship. So that's why I'm saying this. That's all. I actually believe that Durant will not be the best player in the team. It will be Sengun. Not that I will want it to be, or that I want Houston to run the offense through Sengun. I think Sengun is better than Durant right now in their careers. I think Durant, since the Achilles, and especially through the years, it's hard for him to create or to attack the rim. He lost that explosiveness, and I think he's moved out of the spots easy. So I think he's just shooting a lot over the top of players. And this is good for Houston, by the way. I think they need some shooting, so that's good. But I hope they are focused on what they should be, which is creating through Alperen Sengun and Durant open for get some shots, for sure, get plenty of shots, but not run the full offense through him. Next team that I have here, I want to mention Los Angeles Clippers. New additions, Chris Paul, 40 years of age, and Bradley Beal. This team is full of big names with high expectations, but will they deliver? It's always the same question for the Clippers. They always seem great in paper, but then they fall short. And I think they have a similar problems that the Warriors. It's not especially, the age, yes, but also they are very injury prone. It's true that Kawhi played the whole season last year, so that's good. Or at least he played the last part of the season in the playoffs. That was good. But, you never know with Kawhi. And again, 4 rounds of playoffs is a lot of rounds of playoffs. Second issue that I see this team as more like it's like an almost retired all-star team. It's like big names, but without an entity together, without this glue or team mindset. It feels like they just have guys that can play for sure, but I lack this identity as a team. I don't know how they play basketball, this team. I know how their teams play basketball. I know how Houston plays basketball. I know how Denver plays basketball. I know how the Warriors play basketball, but not this team. And they have a great coach, but still, I think due to the players and how this team was constructed, I think there is a lack of identity for this team. Last team from the West that I want to mention is OKC Thunder. There is not much to mention. 1 more year together, more growth, especially I hope for Chet and for J-Dub. I think Chet, actually, even though J-Dub is better right now, I think Chet should be better, should be the second best player of this team. He's defensively better than Jalen Williams. He's a great defensive asset. And I think offensively he's talented enough to develop more the game, and he needs to gain some weight, some muscle. But yeah, I think this team is the biggest candidate. I will do the rankings later, but I think this team is the biggest candidate. They won, and they come with the same team and with more experience and more reps together. Moving on to the Eastern Conference. I want to talk about Atlanta Hawks. People are very excited about Atlanta. I've heard them. Many people talk about Atlanta like almost like a candidate or like a good team. I'm not that hype about Atlanta. They lost Clint Capella. Porzingis came. I saw Porzingis in the Eurobasket, and in my opinion, Porzingis is not the player that we remember from the last few years. He's the player that we remember from last year more. A player that gets injured a lot, and a player that is struggling a lot to create offense and to attack the rim or to gain the position. He's relying a lot in pick and pops and shooting threes far away. It's true that he can make them, he can convert them. I think that's an asset for the team. I think this Atlanta Hawks is a better team than last year, but I don't think Porzingis is really moving the needle a lot for this team, honestly. I think the growth will come from Jalen Johnson getting more experience, maybe from Ricochet getting better, and from Dyson Daniels. But I don't think Porzingis is really doing miracles here in Atlanta. So I wouldn't expect, him to be the guy that turns Atlanta around. Following team that I'm actually, excited about, and I'm hyped, and I'm always hyped about this team, is Orlando Magic. Why? Because they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. They have size, versatility, athleticism, but they lack a lot of shooting. Last year, I was a bit disappointed with them because they faced the Boston Celtics, and they were making them struggle in offense. They were letting Celtics only score about 90, 100 points. But the problem is that they couldn't score. They couldn't score themselves. It's crazy how bad they shot the Orlando Magic. Having said that, good transfer, good acquirement that they did with Desmond Bain. He's a great guy. I think he fits very well in the timeline and also in the team. He's a good shooter. I think he can play hustle and defense is strong. So I think that's a very good asset. And Jalen Sachs, he didn't play in the playoffs. He will be back, and he's a good shooter. So I think that's good. Still, I think it's not enough of shooting. I think they need a bit more of scoring. But it's a good step. And to me, this team should be in regular season top 5 in the East. And if they don't reach a conference semifinals, to me, it will be a failure by Orlando. They have done twice in a row first round exits. They need to get to the second round. If not, it will be a failure to me, in my opinion. They have a guy who can be a candidate for the MVP. I think Paolo Banchero looks amazing. And they have another all-star, solid all-star in Franz Wagner. So they need to move forward. And they need to also become better, both these guys, at shooting. They are shooting horrible. Franz Wagner is horrible. How he shoots, his mechanic is bad. I don't know what happened. But if I'm Orlando, even though that during the season it's hard to make changes in your mechanic because you don't have time and you are like in playing rhythm, there's not time to try things, I would still try that. Because the potential, if your guys start making shots, it's much higher than if they don't. If they don't make shots, it's going to be very hard that you make a big run in the playoffs. So it's okay if you lose some games in the regular season, but in the other hand, you get a better shooting mechanic for the playoffs. So I will really bet on the potential of this team instead of trying to win a lot in the regular season. That's just my opinion. Other team from the East, New York Knicks. I have been a big critic of Tom Thibodeau. Not because I think Tom Thibodeau is a great coach for medium teams, regular teams that are not great, to push them up, make them have an identity, make them play defense, make them play tough, intensity, and he can make regular teams into good teams. But at the same time, there is a cap on how good these teams can be because he plays 45 minutes per game, 5 players. So it's impossible in this current NBA, to win a championship with 5 players. That's the truth. Players gonna get injured a bit, they're gonna get tired. It's not possible. That's why I think, even though they already reached the conference finals, which is a great success for New York Knicks. They should be better right now this year with a coach that will play more players. I'm not a huge fan of Mike Brown, but they should be better because he's going to maintain the base that Thibodeau built and then add on that a bit more of rotation. They also added new players like Yabusele, Malcolm Brogdon, Landry Shamet was there already, but I think he will play a bigger role. Jordan Clarkson. So yes, I think that added to the 5-man startup lineup that I think is great. They should be a very dangerous team in the East. Last team that I want to mention, that I want to talk about, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. This year, the East is wide open, and they should be the biggest favorite from the East to win and to go to the finals. They are the same team as last year. They already got first position regular season last year. There is one more year of experience together. So yeah, they should really go for it at maximum. But these are the issues that I see from this team. One, I think they lack a bit of character and personality. I think, yes, when the things go smooth, when things are going well, yeah, they will knock down threes and they will go up by 40. But I saw it in the playoffs when things go bad, they lack this personality, this character to really grab on to the game, keep fighting, and win games that are played bad. That's what I don't see in them. I don't see this spirit. Donovan Mitchell has it, but that's the only guy that I saw doing that. And second thing I want to say, I think for this team to really be a candidate to win the championship, I think Evan Mobley needs to be the best player in the team. That's it. I think he's the best defensive player. I think he needs to take a step forward in offense. I think he needs to start carrying this team to the finals and in general through the playoffs. I think Donovan Mitchell should be the second best player. And I think Evan Mobley should take really a step forward if they want to win a championship. That's it. By the way, one more thing. Lonzo Ball plays in this team, which is kind of fun. I want to see Lonzo play after a long time. Let's see how he does. Having said all that, here I go with my ranking of candidates for the NBA Championship 2026. And in my number one, I have OKC Thunder, of course. But very tight together in second, I have Denver Nuggets. I think they already pushed them last playoff to 7 games with an injured Michael Porter Jr. and with an injured in Game 7 Aaron Gordon. Now that they have a bigger roster, I think Denver is actually a serious candidate to win it all and to win and to beat OKC. So I think it's 1 and 2, but it's very close one to the other. Then in third spot, it's empty for me. So there's like a tier level 1, then space. And then in number 4, I have the New York Knicks, which I think the team is great, honestly. I think as a 5-man lineup is amazing. I didn't say it, but Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, and then 6-man Mitch Robinson. I think this is a great lineup, plus the guys that I mentioned that I came to the team. So that's my number 4th. 5th, I have Cleveland Cavaliers. Same thing that I mentioned. Then I have another spot, empty spot. So that's tier 2. It's New York Knicks, Cleveland. Tier 3 starts with Minnesota Timberwolves, which I didn't talk about, but they reached twice in a row the conference finals. Why not reach it again? They were very close. I think if Anthony Edwards keeps improving, they could do it. They have athleticism. They have size, young, big team. So why not? Then at my number, or after Minnesota, I have Golden State Warriors, which I already talked about. And then I have Houston Rockets. That's it. Tier 3. After that, I don't see any other team with real possibilities of winning the NBA this season. So that's it. Those are my 7 teams. OKC Denver / Knicks Cleveland in that order / and then Minnesota Warriors Houston. I don't see any other teams. Having said that, I want to talk about players that I'm excited to see and that I'm interested in seeing this season. First one is the number 1 pick of the 2025, Cooper Flagg. And with all due respect, I'm going to say that I think this guy is a bit overrated, which doesn't mean that I don't think he should have been the number 1 pick. I think he's the clear number 1 pick, But I think people are talking about this guy as the new LeBron, and I think that's a bit too much. Why do I say that? Well, because I see some issues in his offense. In his issue number one is his footwork. I don't think is great. So that's a struggle on playing one-on-one. Two, his dribble is not great either. So I think his level as a one-on-one offensive weapon is a bit capped. But there is other things. So that's why I'm saying it's overrated, because people are considering this guy as the new Messias, as the new LeBron. I don't think he will reach that level. Good side is his defense, amazing, top all NBA defense, all defense level for himself. And then his offense, I'm interested in seeing his evolution as a passer, because even though I don't see what I think his one-on-one evolution is capped, his passing might be good, and that could evolve and create a great player. I think Cooper Flagg is a good player. I think he's a perennial all-star for multiple years, but I don't think he's an all-NBA first team or an MVP candidate for a long term, for the future. And I as well don't think he's the main guy for a championship team. I think he will have to be a second guy, not the main guy. That's how I see it. That's why I say he's overrated. Not because, I think he's a great player. To me, I see him also a bit like a Kirilenko style player. He looks physically similar to him. Long, lanky, athletic. I think he's better offensively than Kirilenko, but Kirilenko was a great defensive player. And I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see him, even though I said he's a bit overrated. I'm excited to see him. Second player that I'm excited to see is, of course, Victor Wembanyama. And I'm excited to see him because I'm just counting down the months, the years, until he becomes the best player in the NBA, which is going to happen, I believe. He's already the best defensive player in the league. It's just a matter of repetitions, experience, that he becomes the best player in general in the league. His offense needs to develop, but he will. And his defense can even develop more, but he's already the best one. So that's why I'm excited to see Wembanyama. And last player that I want to see, that I don't know if we will see, I don't know what's the situation with this guy, but he's super good, and I'm sad that we don't see him often, is Joel Embiid, the former MVP. People have forgotten a bit about him. I want to see him. I think he's great, and I would love to see him. Maybe he's not anymore the best Joel Embiid that we saw, but, when this guy plays, he's a monster. He's going to do like 35 and 12 and blocks and everything. So, I want to see him. And with this, I end my preview about the NBA 2025-2026 season. But it's not the end of the podcast, and I'm going to jump into the segment, I Know What You Did. And in this segment, I travel in time to a similar date that we are today, so around the 20th of October, but I traveled to the past to talk about something that happened in that time in another season of the NBA. And today we're traveling to 2019, more specific, October 24th of 2019. The Atlanta Hawks were debuting their season in Detroit against the Pistons, and in that game, the 42-year-old Vince Carter subbed in, and that meant that he started his 22nd NBA season, which was a record, and is a record for the most seasons played in the NBA. It was not done by Dirk Nowitzki, by Kareem, by Kevin Garnett, not. It's done by Vince Carter. He started his NBA career in the 1998 in Toronto Raptors, playing against Michael Jordan, and he's ended his career in 2020, in March of 2020, playing alongside Trae Young. He went from the VHS to the TikTok. This guy played in 4 different decades. He played in the 90s, in 2000s, in 2010s, and in 2020s. Insane longevity for a guy who started as a tanker and evolved as a three-point specialist and as an all-around good player, always maintaining his bounce, which is pretty impressive. And I want to tie this story with LeBron James, because LeBron James, even though he will miss the start of the season, if he plays a game in this regular season, he will tie Vince Carter's record of 22 seasons. LeBron James started in 2003, and he will play in 2005 and 2025-2026 season. And that will be his 22nd season, tie for the most seasons in NBA history. And if he will play another more season, he will have the absolute record of 23 seasons in the NBA. So yeah, that's a bit. I know what you did October 24th of 2019. Now, that's all for today. I hope you're excited, or as excited as I am, for the new regular season to start. I hope you're having a great end of the summer, and I hope you like this podcast. Subscribe, constructively criticize it, comment, ask questions, whatever you want to do. And that's all for today. See you. Bye bye.